enter up on the first concourse and then you walk down to your seats. And then to get to the upper bowl, if you choose to sit upper bowl, there's stairways placed around the building. On this side of the upper bowl only is a second level mezzanine that services the east side.
The seats, cup holders. I know it's a little thing, but
it's still to be determined. There'll be definitely cup holders on the premium side. It depends on the type of seat, whether or not we'll have them in the rest of the building. Concession partner is Delaware North Service, which is the same company that recently won the United So one more Aramark for those of you who love Aramark. Chicken fingers is the standard in any stadium. You can be assured it's good.
Any of the
clubs? Good question. We have a total of 3 club spaces. They're all located on that side. And if you look directly across at the tunnel, to the left of the tunnel is the premium seating club for those people who choose to buy the club seats. And to the right of the tunnel is the Bulls Corner Pub, which we currently have at Giant Stadium, except it's going to be a lot nicer and a lot different. The third club is actually on the back end of the skyboxes, and it's only for the skybox customers. It's a very different experience than what you see at stadiums now with suites. The suites nowadays at most stadiums, you come, going to turn that on its head a little bit by creating a lounge that is built off the suites to encourage more of a community atmosphere. All 3 spaces will be able to be rented on non-match days. You probably won't have that stuff going for a while, but if the company wants to hold a company event or you have a family event, party or whatever, eventually all 3 spaces will be available for rent. If you want to get married in Red Bull Arena, you can get married in Yeah, so we'll have a full-scale merchandise shop, approximately 2,000 square feet, give or take a little bit, on the end of the west side structure. Yeah.
So if we have that, the shop over there, will there be any like little shops?
Yeah, along the concourse there'll be mobile carts with merchandise like you kind of have at Giant Stadium by the gate entrance, but the primary physical shop structure will exist over there. So if you just want to buy a jersey and you're sitting over here, there'll be a mobile cart and you just take it up.
Any of the local ethnic foods?
Yeah, that's all part of our discussions with Delaware North. They recognize the unique atmosphere in Newark and Harrison and Kearney. And so there will be ethnic play on the menus, whether it's in the concession stands or the clubs. All that stuff is still to be determined. But we have their commitment that they want to create a more representative feel to the market.
More than hot dogs.
Yeah. Those rules haven't been finalized. It's a good question. We are definitely going to allow it in the supporters end. And for those of you who don't know, the whole end zone, if we can generate a large supporters, see what we can do. You got to make friends with everybody that sits around you. So that they all Any other questions?
How about prices?
Prices. Season ticket holder prices, as have been previewed, and moving into Red Bull Arena.
Okay.
So your current Giant Stadium prices will be your 010 season prices in Red Bull Arena.
Now, one thing to consider, just to go back on that, when you come and do the relocation event, our goal is to have it in stadium. You're picking out your seats. We're going to have the prices that are set for 2010 for a general fan who hasn't been with us before, where it might be, you know, instead of $528 for a midfield, it's $600. We don't know that exact price. So just know when you're selecting your seat and choosing between midfield and sideline, keep in mind what you would be paying. You'll be paying at least that much the following year. So keep that in mind. We don't want you to go through the relocation process and use your priority number to get a seat because it's the same as your Giant Stadium seat and then have it be, you know, more than you're willing to afford and you have to be relocated again. So that'd be something to keep in mind.
You won't be doing that till later.
The relocation event will be later this summer, fall.
September, October is the relocation event. You'll be receiving your relocation manuals April or May. We spent a lot of time dissecting these manuals and writing it from our perspective, writing it from your perspective, and and writing it from the perspective of someone who's not even a season ticket holder, to make sure that it's 100% clear. It's a very challenging process for not only the fans but the front office, because it's a very complicated process. If you have any questions, once you get the guide, please call Dan, Tim, Lisa, your fan service representatives immediately, because we want to make sure that by the time the event happens in September, October, you know exactly what to expect and exactly what you need to do to get the seats you want, because it's going to be a very challenging process for everybody involved.
Let me ask you, like right now we have corner flag seats.
Yep.
So when we get that package, it's going to be, you know, the same thing, right?
Yeah. So
okay.
as I mentioned with Giant Stadium, we've kept every price point that we have in Giant Stadium, correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, every price point that currently exists in Giant Stadium will exist in Red Bull Arena in the general location of those sections. So, for example, corner flag exists in Red Bull Arena.
Okay.
The total amount of seats in corner flag won't equal the total amount of seats at Giant Stadium.
I see.
But that's just because we have a different stadium. But that price point does exist.
You'll see the traditional midfield, sideline, and corner, and you're also going to see what we deem an end line seat. So that'll be the new addition to Red Bull Arena. Along with the relocation guide that Andrew mentioned, there's going to be a questionnaire in there. That's just to get you thinking of, okay, do I want an aisle seat? Do I want seats 2 in front, 2 in back? Do I want to be near? With that relocation guide and the use of our tomorrow, you'll be able to go online, and you've probably seen them before. You click your section and it gives you a view from, you know, the 5 rows in whichever section you choose on the field. So between that technology and your questionnaire, you'll have a sense of where you want to sit. You list your top 5, you know, choices. You're not locked into those by any means. That's just to give us an idea. If something happens and your car breaks down and you're coming to the event, you can call and say, hey Dan, you know, you see my 5 choices, see what you can do for me, so I can pick your seat for you for wherever you can't make it. So those questionnaires will be due back to us in early July, and then early September we're looking to have everybody out. So we're really excited about it.
When you do that event, you start with number 1,
Yep.
this person in front of the line, he picks his exact seats, goes to number 2. Okay, so are you going to, I mean, you can imagine it with 5,000 ticket holders. You're going to stage that some way so you're not here for 10 hours?
It's spread out as much as we're waiting for number 1 to pick. I mean, and we still have all these details to work out. We're most likely going to stage everybody in the West End, near one of the clubs. And you'll be lined up in groups of 30 or something like that. We don't know what the exact number is. But number 1 will go a short time after, and number 2 will be sent in, and so on.
You'll have a day and a time slot.
Okay.
Right.
So you kind of
assigned to numbers 1 through 20 will go Monday from 9 to 11, let's say. Numbers 21 through 40 will go the next 2 hours. It's a challenging process, to say the least, but it's an exciting process because you know, we've done our best to maintain the promise of the priority list, and we're pretty excited that we've put a system in place that will keep that priority list at the core of the relocation process.
One of the main questions that we've had from some of the other tours, and I'll just throw it out there because you guys, I don't know if you've thought of it yet, but a lot of people say, how do I sit with my friend or my family member that sits next to me in Giant Stadium? We have different priority numbers. I'm sure some of you are probably in the same scenarios. If I'm number 20 on the list and my friend's number 200, the only way to guarantee your seats next to each other would be for me, who's number 20, to drop down and pick at basically 199 with my friend who's at 200, okay? You'll be able to add on, as you've probably seen, double the amount of seats. If I have 2, I can buy up to 4. Again, like Andrew mentioned, we're very careful of protecting that priority list, because we don't want someone, if you're number, you know, 200, we don't want, you know, number 100 buying, I mean, a lot of, you know, it's great if they buy a lot of seats for us, but at the same time, that would knock you further back on the list. So that was the reason for double the amount of seats, and like I said, you'd have to drop down. The better priority number will always have to drop down and choose with the worst priority number to guarantee the seats together.
Or you double your seats and you buy 200 for them.
You buy for your buddy.
You can do that, unless, and if you don't have enough seats where you can double, you can buy more this year, so you're able to double.
You only have 2, but you know at Red Bull Arena you're definitely going to want 8, and you have 2 choices. You can add 2 now and get your total to 4, so you can double to 8, or you can keep your 2, buy your 4 the first